Hey, my name's Emma.
And it's Hayden, and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another review for you guys for the Netflix original series, The Haunting of Bly Manor. Now, we were really looking forward to this show as we were massive fans of The Haunting of Hill House. We absolutely love that show.
Mm-hmm.
It actually made our top 10 Netflix shows.
It did.
If you haven't seen that video, we might link it in the description below. But as I said, really looking forward to this one. So did it hit? Did it miss? Stick around and find out. Now, before we do, we just want to clarify that this is going to be spoiler free. So no spoilers. For whatever reason, if we do need to spoil anything, we will give you guys a heads up. So let's get into it.
Yeah, so The Haunting of Bly Manor is the follow-up series to Netflix's very popular The Haunting of Hill House. However, it is not a sequel, nor is it a prequel. It is its own brand new storyline. However, we do see some of the same actors return in Bly Manor, but of course as new characters. Now, Bly Manor follows an American nanny who comes to England and is hired by Henry to care for his orphan niece and nephew who reside in Bly Manor, along with the housekeeper, the chef, and the groundskeeper. And not too long after her stay, do weird and spooky things begin to happen. And very similar things to, I guess, what we saw in The Haunting of Hill House. But I have to say it was a little more subtle, do you think, in Bly Manor?
Yeah, it wasn't the main focus of the story, I don't think. This has been described as a gothic romance or a gothic love story, and I think that kind of sums it up pretty well. The supernatural elements are kind of there in the background, almost like they're the catalyst for everything that's going on and where the story is taking place. But the main focus of the story is actually the relationships that are formed throughout. And they kind of do push the story forward, seeing these relationships grow and, deal with everything that's going on around them and try to escape that situation. So,
yeah. And saying that though, yes, we do still have some very nice supernatural elements to the show. And again, the show does a similar thing like Hill House did in placing, little things in the background, and you've got to certainly be paying attention again if you want to pick those up.
Sometimes it felt almost like a haunted house version of Where's Wally?
Yeah.
Where you're just constantly trying to find the ghosts in the background. And I really like that about it because your senses are always on alert.
Yes.
You're always on alert. You're always looking around the room, kind of seeing what's there. And just kind of puts you on the edge of your seat a little bit, which I really like.
Well, I think that's the other. I think there's probably not any that I can think of right now. I don't think there were really any jump scares in Bly Manor. I think we had a few in Hill House, but it was a bit more subtle.
Yeah, more kind of creepiness, uneasiness.
Yes.
Nothing really just, jump out of your seat scary.
Yes. So, but there's certainly a lot of moments if you blink, you'll miss it. So if you want to pick up on these creepy things in the background, you've got to keep your eyes peeled and pay attention. But again, it certainly doesn't take away from the main storyline and what is happening with the lead characters. It's just, again, another clever way of storytelling. And once again, beautiful cinematography has carried over into Bly Manor. I think that was the other thing we absolutely loved about Hill House was how gorgeous the show looked.
Very well shot. Very well shot. I don't think there was anything as impressive as that one take shot that seemingly went for half an episode in Hill House. I don't think there was anything on that level, but still very well shot.
Yes, I was kind of hoping they might do a similar thing in this one, but that's okay. It was still quite enjoyable. And look, there's also a lot of twists and turns with this show. I think at about the halfway point, man, do things get weird and confusing, and you're just taken on this ride of what on earth is going on.
Well, I actually think that halfway through is probably where the show lost me a little bit. Yeah, it just got a little bit much and a little bit confusing and a little bit messy at times for me.
There were certainly times where the story and what was visually happening did get a bit repetitive. And if you've seen the show, you'll know what I mean. There was a bit of repetitiveness to the story around that midway point. And I have to say too that it kind of started to lose me there as well, but it did pick up again. And do you know what the other thing that was a bit out of the blue for me was, you feel like you're following this particular character and their storyline, and then all of a sudden towards the end you're like, wow, this whole time the show has actually been about this and this person, and an ending that I think also wasn't expected, but I liked it.
I think it tied up the whole, again, like that gothic romance, that love story. I think it tied into all that. So I think it worked for what this show was.
Yeah. So The other great thing about this show was the actors, and as I mentioned, we did have some of the original cast members of Hill House come on to Bly Manor again, but of course in new roles because it is a new story. But we also had some newcomers, and I have to say, the child actors in this show were brilliant.
Oh, fantastic. Especially the boy.
The little boy was amazing. Like, some of the mannerisms and the language that he uses, it's so adult.
Yeah, well, without trying to spoil too much, he's kind of got a split personality of sorts. And so he has to play kind of two ways, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's very good acting.
Yeah.
You know, props to him. And the whole cast were amazing. And I really enjoyed seeing some of the favourites from the original show as well. That was really cool. A little bit like what American Horror Story does, I guess. In their show, they have a new story every season, but they utilise the same actors again in different roles.
Different accents as well for some of them, And I think if you're not aware of that starting off, I think it does throw you a little bit. Like, is this a sequel? Is it not? Are these the same characters? But yeah, I think if you go in knowing that it's not the same story, it's a completely different story being told.
You can separate yourself.
I think you can separate yourself from that a little bit, yeah.
So we'll leave it there. It's definitely a show worth your time. It is still very enjoyable. While it just didn't quite get to this high standard of Hill House, it's still worth checking out, especially if you did see the original show. I think you'll still get a kick out of this one. So let us know in the comments. If you have seen Bly Manor already, let us know in the comments what you thought. What did you think of the twists and the turns? What did you think of the ending? Did you like how it all wrapped up? If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out and come back and let us know what you thought of it.
Yeah, and make sure you do all that YouTube stuff as well. Slam that like button if you like what we do. Hit the bell for the notifications to see what's coming up next. And please subscribe to our channel too to become part of the Headspace Films family. We'd love to have you. Most importantly of all though, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
See ya.